Carson City Culture and Tourism Authority Board of Directors meeting. It is Monday, February 10th, 2025. It's 4 o'clock and we're in the Carson City Community Center Robert Bob Kroll Boardroom. Chris, can I get a roll call?
Mike Jones,
Here.
Andrew Reno,
Here.
Kitty McKay,
Here.
Stacy Giomi. We'll catch up with them in a minute. We have a quorum. Oh, Damon? Damon Both, are you here?
Stacy, Damon, can you hear us? Well, we still go. We got a quorum.
Yes, you can still go. You have a quorum here in the room, and when the connectivity issues are fixed, we can note on the record that everybody's connected.
All right, thank you. So could I ask everybody to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. This time we'll move on to item 4, public comment. Seeing none, we'll move on to item 5, possible action approval of minutes, January 13th, 2025 CTA board meeting. Any changes, corrections, additions to the minutes? If not, I could get a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. That takes us on to the consent agenda. There's no members of the public here, but I'll ask anyway if anybody would like to have anything pulled from the consent agenda for individual discussion. Any member of the board? If I could get a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. With that, moves us to item 9, monthly non-action items. David, you want to give us the executive director's report?
Certainly, Chair Jones. For the record, David Peterson, Executive Director with Visit Carson City. A couple of items for the board this month. We had a great evening on Friday with the Tahoe Night Monsters. We had our Carson City takeover night, which was awesome up at the Tahoe Blue Event Center. We had a full booth set up. I have never seen a trinket go as fast as the cowbells did. We plowed through 350 of those 25 minutes before the game even started, and we had people coming up to us the whole game wondering if they could get a cowbell. So that they were a major hit. Blew through 200 plus microfiber towels as well for people to wave around during the game. We had our spot on the giant Jumbotron TV thing above the rink, which was fantastic. Thank you, Lydia, for setting this thing up. It was just, I think it was really cool. We had a great location right as you came in off the main entrance to the right, and so it was just perfect. Mayor Bagwell did a great job with the puck drop. We had the kids, in the special boxes as well through her attendance policy kind of thing at the schools. Forgive me for not knowing exactly what that is called. And we'll have pics and video next month, of course, because this just happened on Friday, right? And we'd already posted for the meeting today. And I'd just like to thank Anthony Bengi and the Tahoe Night Monsters hockey team for being such a great supporter of Carson City and supporting the community. And I really think we have a really cool long-term partnership ahead of us with the hockey folks up there. So again, really cool event, and my thanks for everybody that came out. Member Chiomi was up there, so I mean, he can talk about it if he'd like as well, but it was I think a great evening for us. So the second thing, last Friday also happened to be the V&T Commission's all-day retreat workshop. And I'm happy to say that we as a commission are fully committed to making the 2025 operating season the best yet. We're going to be investing in new content for the new website that will launch in March. We're going to have a rack card. We're developing a full paid social media calendar and plan because of how well the very limited, and I mean limited, $100 here or there, spends that we did on Instagram did to drive ticket sales. And so we're going to be reworking not only paid social media, but also our traditional media around our Sundays, but also more specifically the diesels that are running, because that's our lowest occupancy is when the diesel trains run, right? Everybody wants to be on the steam. So we are working with Tom Gray to actually reduce the number of diesel trains and replace those by running the 18 this coming season. So we're working on a plan for that as well. We'll also have an integrated newsletter calendar. We have, I don't remember off the top of my head, I think it's 20-something thousand people in our database with our emails, right? So we want to leverage those folks, get out in front and have a plan all year round, right? So as we come out of the long line season, out of the Polar Express, right, to keep the V&T top of mind for these folks who, majority of our database, have already ridden some type of a train, right? So I'm excited about that as well. And then we're working on some new family-friendly thematic trains. So we're going to pull back a little bit from things being centered around alcohol and make it more about families and younger families and engaging them, having scavenger hunts, be a part of the experience, and little trinkets when you come back to the depot for kids, right? So trying to drive that family dynamic in younger families. And I do believe we're going to have rail bikes this year. So I can't tell you exactly when. We have some testing to do on the motors, the electric assist motors and the braking, but Tom is really close. And I'm very happy to say safety has been the #1 driving force behind the design of these rail bikes. So I think we're sitting on somewhere between 12 and 13 rail bikes. They're all quads, right? And it may be something that we will be able to go beyond just into the Carson River Canyon and then to Halfway House, but we may be able to do something top to bottom even, which I think would be an amazing experience. That's going to require obviously some testing, right? Because you're talking about coming downhill, right? 12 miles. But we're getting close on the rail bikes, and I think that's going to be an awesome return opportunity and experience on the tracks. So those are my 2 updates for the board. Any questions? Okay, awesome. Thank you. With that, we'll move on to 9B, which is the transient occupancy tax, actual versus forecast report. That's the big sheet in your packet. We finally have our November actuals in. So you can see we came in at 15% ahead of budget, just under 14% ahead of November 2023. So again, that was an all-time record for us at 1.954 million. Turning your attention to December, right now we're projecting 1.774 million, about 7% ahead of our budget and a little under 6% ahead of prior year. So we were close. When I was toying with the numbers a couple of weeks ago, I actually thought we may beat our all-time record back in fiscal 23, so November of 22, which was just a shade under 1.8 million, but very pleased with the December numbers. And again, we have 3 properties who are undergoing renovations, so I think we're down over 100 rooms. Forgive me for not knowing the exact number, but I believe we're down over 100 rooms. So I'm very pleased with.
We were missing all those rooms in November also, right?
You're right. Yeah, we were, because 2 properties, you and Federal, went offline in September, and I don't remember. Courtyard started in December. So you're right, Mike. 2 properties were down in November as well. 3 properties were down rooms. for the month of December. So
Any reason why November was so strong? Anything you're hearing from the
no,
operator?
basically rates. You know, everybody, when we come back at next month's meeting, you'll see, and I don't want to get ahead of it.
David, you're supposed to say visit Carson City.
Oh, well, I was gonna get to Visit Carson City's efforts, Mike. I just, wanted to give a shout out to you as
Right.
properties, for maintaining your rates
Hmm.
and RevPAR, but, yeah, primarily because of Visit Carson
I
City's
have my
efforts.
visit Carson City hat on.
Oh, yes.
We all knew it was ADR, but we wanted to give you some credit.
I apologize for not taking that credit or the hint. Forgive me, it will not happen again. Yeah, I, in spite of what I saw happening around us, we've been up, which I think is fantastic. And again, I mean, that's a credit to the properties, right? Keeping the rates in place. So outside of our efforts, which I think the team has done an amazing job on. So all the way over to the right, where are we at relative to our projection for fiscal '25? A little under 4.4% ahead of our budget, and then tracking at just under 1.3% as far as '25 compared to fiscal '24 actual. Any other questions on this particular report? Okay. Stacy, Damon, just, I don't want to exclude you guys if you have questions. Okay.
I'm good.
Okay.
We can't,
Thank you.
can you hear him?
I think he said he was good. Okay, perfect. Okay. Thank you, guys. All right, with that, we'll move on to 9C, Arts and Culture Update. Mr. Brooks, take it away.
Thank you, Eric Brooks for the record. We have a short outline today. We're just going to talk about the Cultural Corridor update, which I will be doing every quarter after we file our report with Travel Nevada. And then we're going to talk about 2025 arts and culture events. So it'll be a few more months before the Cultural Corridor will be exciting updates. This one is going to be pretty text heavy. The three regional leads, myself, A. Perry from Virginia City and Brian Fitzgerald from Carson Valley, have had regular meetings to discuss the grant award, possible budget adjustments, and upcoming key steps and deliverables. An initial RFP for the executive director of the nonprofit received one submission. The second RFP for the executive director was released on 12/31/24, with slight changes made from the first based on the working group's feedback, primarily to increase the contract amount of this position. In addition, Exhibit B, containing the Appendix 2 to Part 200, is now a part of the full RFP release. This exhibit has the contract provisions for non-federal entity contracts under federal awards. So right now, we're still waiting to hopefully find an executive director. But we did make some good progress. We are working with the global market analysis of domestic. That includes LA, San Francisco, Sacramento, and the international Canada, Mexico, UK. Arts and culture visitors to the corridor is being created by Herman Global. A professional services contract with the Estepona Group to develop the corridor's brand position, name, and brand package was finalized in December. A professional services contract with the Estepona Group to develop a corridor website and an in-web app was approved by the CTA Board of Directors at its December 9th board meeting. The regional leads have contacted Jed Block from State Agent and Transfer Syndicate, Inc., to begin the process of forming a new nonprofit alliance to shape corridor development, set policy, build membership, and secure and manage future resources. And the stakeholders will be doing a discovery meeting with the Estepona Group to continue with that brand packaging later this month. So Arts and Culture 25, it's going to be a busy one. We just did the Lunar New Year, Year of the Snake with the Nevada State Museum last week. The second annual Cinco de Mayo celebration will be May 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. We're going to be able to add some extra entertainment to that event compared to last year. The fifth annual Plein Air Watercolor Carson City dates are August 5th through the 10th. This is an event that Brewery Arts is going to co-present with Colleen Reynolds, who's been doing it for 4 years. And moving forward, it will become a Brewery Arts Center event altogether. Last year, there were 36 artists. We think we're going to hit 50 this year. And I think this could be an event that really draws a ton of people to town, both as participants and attendees. We're right at the tail end of, there's a circuit that these artists go on, and there's one in the East Bay that happens the week before. So we think we're going to maybe be able to get onto that circuit, and people will just come over here from there. Silver State Art Festival in Fuji Park, September 5th through the 7th. Brewery Arts is going to be working closely with Christy Dial and the Nevada Gourd Society this year. And next year, it will become a presented by Brewery Arts event. Again, with looking forward, using the stage that Spike McGuire and his team have now purchased. We think that this event can go from under 40 artists to over 100. And I'll be going to Columbus in June to work the Columbus Art Festival. They have 2 stages, 250 attending artists. It's a huge, huge deal. It generates millions and millions of dollars. So I'm going to work that to try to get some insights on how we can grow the one at Fuji Park. The 3rd annual Murals and Music Festival, we're working on that right now. Mark Twain Days, we talked about this. We're moving from a spring event to a fall event, primarily to get off of the really busy May that we already have and to get an event closer to the shoulder season. And we'll be having a meeting later this month with all the stakeholders, and we're hoping to expand it into Carson Valley as well this year. And then the 2nd annual Tamale Festival will be December 14th, and we've already worked out some infrastructure on how this can be more successful, adding to the tremendous success that we had in the inaugural year. And something that just happened, we're going to add one more event. Brewery Arts is also going to take the lead in the Sassabration, which is the LGBTQ event that's held at Sassafras. It's now going to be held on Brewery Arts campus, and its name is going to change to Nevada Pride, and it's going to be the first statewide Pride event here in the capital city, where they're working on doing a lot of fun things, including crowning the Queen of Nevada, which will be a drag competition, and they're expecting to get a big draw of Vegas coming up for that event. So lots of fun things going on. Any questions?
What date did you say that was?
That is September 13th. Be a busy September.
Any questions for Eric? Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. With that, we're going to move on to 9D, Events and Sales Update. Mr. Wexler, take it away.
For the record, Stu Wexler. I'm just going to go over some of the updates from the last month, and since I wasn't here at the last meeting, an update for some of those. We just went to the ABA, American Bus Association, which was held in Philadelphia, home of the Super Bowl winning football team. And it was pretty exciting with a lot of people, a lot of more people than I can remember at the last show. So I ended up with, you could have a max of 54 appointments. It was 7 minutes. You had a minute to get to each table. So I actually ended up with 34 appointments. I did have 3 cancellations and 2 no-shows on my end, so which is typical, usually happens. I believe everyone that was there had at least 1 or 2 no-shows. But we did have open appointments where this second, third day, you could go around the floor. If you didn't see anyone sitting at the tables, we could go there and talk to them and make appointments. So with that, I was just walking up and down the floor, and I had about 8 appointments just from that, just from going and talking to people. Also, just walking around Philadelphia, if you saw anything with anybody with an ABA name badge, I just started talking to them. You saw them all over the area, so it was pretty fascinating and pretty exciting. So I had about 3 potential appointments that I are very excited about coming here, working with itineraries. I've been working with them. And in the past, I have worked in the hotels with tour companies that would go to the state parks like Yosemite And so I would work with them, bring them into Carson for a night or two, get them itineraries, and then they would go to Yosemite. And I found that the few of the appointments that I did call on were very excited about that, for especially us being so close to Yosemite. And Andrew will find that out too. So saw that. So I am working with a few tour companies for this year, sending them, I'll be working the rest of the week, sending out the follow-up emails and itineraries. I did have one that was at our NTA show about 2 years, and when it was in Reno, that actually came on our Adventure Day down here at the Carson City, and she was at the show, and she was happy to see us and happy that we are going to have the ABA in Reno next year. In talking to everybody at the show, pretty much a lot of excitement in the show coming to Reno. So we'll be working with the whole region and putting site tours together, venture tours, as that goes along. Also, and then we had some excitement, and we got to see the last day of the show is when Art announced the road to Reno, so there was a lot of excitement for that. And then we have senior softball. This is, it's called Rockin' Reno. They have actually been coming to Reno, this area, for a long time. I've known Fran Dow for years, since working at the Hampton, and she has been looking to bring more tournaments to this area for a long time now. They partner with, obviously, the Sparks area, but we do have 2 tournaments coming this year, which she hasn't done for quite a while. And then once the fields are complete going into 2026, she's actually looking to bring about 4 tournaments to the whole region, which is really quite an improvement, because normally it's one tournament. So she's really excited for what's going to be happening at Centennial with the Terps. So as we go along and everything's completed on the fields, then we'll work on bringing more tournaments from them, senior softball, coming into Carson. And just a couple updates on the events. I'll be going over more events later on as we get into the year, but the Comstock Shootout will be April 26th and 27th. As it stands now, they are combining the boys and girls. Back in years ago, they used to have boys one weekend, girls one weekend, and then depending on how Easter fell is how they would schedule the tournaments. This year, because there's the last couple of years, there's been a lot of new administration, and they combined the boys and girls into one weekend. And they did that last year. They're doing it this year. They hope next year to have another tournament aside from the boys and girls tournament on the AYSO. So we'll be working with them on that. And then a lot of you are familiar with the Carson Cruisers car show that usually happens. They actually have changed the date to June 28th instead of July, which is what they normally have. And talking to Loretta, I think it's the heat that caused them to change, really, from July to June. So that's usually a big draw too. That'll be nice, I think, on that date instead of July. And then we have Arena Wars coming back on July 12th. That'll be at the Mac Center. And working with Matt, the owner, we're looking to bring he would like to get about 3 or 4 tournaments, fights here in Carson for the year. So we're just starting. We'll start with July 12th, and then we'll see how the rest of this year goes. And then going into 2026, we definitely he wants to have like 3 or 4 matches here in Carson City. And then we are looking at Kaboom Con 2. Last year it was a one-day event here at the community center. This coming year, we're working with Mark Helton on making it a 3-day event. It's going to be here. It's going to be a huge event. He is bringing vendors in from all over the country for this event. And if anyone's familiar with some of the Comic-Cons around the country, especially San Diego, it's not going to be that big, but that's a huge draw, and people love coming to that. And coming here for the one day last year was amazing, the amount of people that were actually here for that event. So we're working with Mark on that. And some of the others, the No Limit tournaments, they definitely have 2 dates set. They would, as we go into 2026 and the fields are done, they look to bring 4 to 5 national tournaments in here, which we would have done this year, but with, the change in Centennial, we had to obviously modify their dates for that. And then Stetna's Pay Dirt Race, obviously May 17th. That's going to be a really big event, huge draw. We're hoping to have 500 to 600 registered riders this year. So we're working with Carlos and Erica on that, and we'll stay up to date on that and inform everyone how that goes. And then just a couple shows. We have the IPW, which will be in Chicago this year. And this year, I am excited because Lydia is going to be joining me to help with all the PR and everything like that. So I can concentrate on the show. She'll be there. The PR, that's a one day, and then she'll come hopefully and help me with the show for that. So that'll be a huge show. They're expecting even more than what they had in Los Angeles last year. Usually you're looking at about 5,000 people that travel through that show. So that's pretty exciting. And then I'll be going to Columbus for the Teams 25, really concentrating on the sports organization. We're looking at, been working with some of the organizations. Junior Golf is looking to come here. They want to bring BMX here into Carson using our BMX track, which is across from Livermore. And pickleball, when I was down there last September, we were talking, Scott and I were talking about the new pickleball courts that are going to be at Mills Park. So as we get those going, as that completes, we will see pickleball organizations coming to Carson City. They were pretty excited about that. Obviously, pickleball is huge in this country. So we're looking to expand at the amateur and the youth sports here in Carson City. And we are working with Tahoe. If we do see anyone that is looking for an event, arena type size, we'll send them up to the event center in Tahoe, and then they'll be working with us if they are working with organizations that need more greens and fields, because we have the fields, which they don't have. So that is it, and if anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions for Stu? Thank you, Stu, for that update. I appreciate that very much. Let's go ahead and move on to 9E, Marketing and PR Update. Ms. Beck, take it away.
Thank you, Lydia Beck, for the record. We have a pretty short agenda today. We're going to start with the marketing update. Here are our digital growth numbers for the website and the digital performance, and here's what they mean. The lodging interest essentially is surging. So we had a 61% increase again across all sources, and we had paid social lead the way on that. Our winter campaign assets are driving our strongest engagement. It's pretty much all of our advertising right now. Particularly our remarketing ads are thriving. Our organic search was impacted, and it fluctuated due to seasonality and overall less events in January. So we saw a little bit of a decrease there. However, we've adjusted our bidding and especially in our display ads, and we're aiming for higher value placements over volume. So our next steps from here will just be continuing to optimize high performance channels, refine display strategy, and also leverage that remarketing success to those who are interested to get them further down that funnel. We also had a really great public relations month for January. The Reno Gazette-Journal, which is hard to get coverage in, has covered us as well for our top weekend getaway destinations near Reno. It highlighted us as Nevada's capital city that has cultural history and hiking trails. We were also featured in Group Tour magazine that put a Carson City itinerary out. Stewart Indian School was mentioned by powwows.com and Indy Bay, discussing the impact of Indian boarding school policies. We also had many local events that were featured this month. We had our top 2 hikers selected for the Carson City to Canada Quest secure their permits. So KPS3 is back to launching the Carson City to Canada Quest. I'll have more on that later. We also hosted 2 influencers. My apologies, not 3. We hosted Justin Walter and Romaru. Both visited last week in the last week of January, and Justin actually came on behalf of the Reno Tahoe territory, and Romaru was an extension of a partnership with Visit Lake Tahoe. So it was a nice extension to getting them here. Romaru was here on a trip and had reached out to us and Visit Lake Tahoe, and ended up being a really great addition. And she did some really great content for us, and they have quite an extensive following. And on February 26th, I'll be attending the Travel Nevada Media Mission in San Francisco on behalf of the Reno Tahoe territory. We just got some of the media list, and it is hefty. It's focusing on outdoor recreation. There's going to be some great people there. And we're putting together some prize packages for Travel Nevada, some of which are coming from Carson City. And we're very excited to see how that goes. We haven't talked about our newsletters in a while and why they matter. Essentially, I wanted to give you a snapshot of what our January looks like, so it's a pretty good one. We do about 1 to 2 e-newsletter blasts a month, usually around 1, just kind of updating what the events are for the month. But it really is an inbox that's a gateway to Carson City. So they keep visitors engaged, inspired, bring them closer to booking a trip. And the more signups we get equals the more potential visitors that we have. Our ads are doing a really great job of getting new signups. We had 50 new signups in January, so that is 146% year over year, 11% month over month. We have a really high engagement rate of 38.3% open rate and 2.4% click rate. And then our top content for this January month was the Winter in Carson City blog, which saw the highest clicks within that January newsletter, with 146. So basically that kind of outlined a great itinerary of what to do here in Carson City. We participated in a fall co-op with Expedia, which was presented by Travel Nevada. So this was half grant funded. So it was a $10,000 investment. There was 2.3 million impressions delivered and 850 room nights that were booked through September through November here in Carson City as part of that campaign. So it's a 30-day attribution rate. So if someone had to click on the link that went to the Travel Nevada landing page co-op and actually book within 30 days of viewing that page. So we are very excited to see that these co-ops have performed very well for us, and we are excited to see that they are continuing to grow. We plan to participate more than likely again in this coming fiscal year. They just did a presentation that it will be continuing that and actually changing the featured tiers. So we'll be actually to be right next to Travel Nevada instead of below them, just for a little bit larger investment. So I think we'll be participating in that, but I'll have more information on that soon. And lastly, as I mentioned before, for the Carson City to Canada Quest, both of our top 2 selected hikers have secured their permits. And so we are in full force of planning that media launch because we have Audrey is actually doing the full Pacific Crest Trail hike. She's starting in April already. And so she's going to come into Carson City, and then Julianne is going to be starting from Carson City likely in June. We're hoping that we can get them somehow to magically line up, but it might not work out that way. We realize we have to be pretty flexible and fluid with this, but we're very excited. They're excited. We just completed an interview with Audrey. We're going to be completing another interview with Julianne in the next month, actually on the 19th. And that way we can do a nice press release that gives some background on the 2 hikers and talk about what that's going to look like and how people can follow along the way. Dave and I are also figuring out how to coordinate efforts to meet them at the end of the Pacific Crest Trail. Unfortunately, they have pulled all the permits that allow you to cross into Canada from PCT now, as of a week ago. So that was a fun adjustment that we can't meet that. We can't fly into Canada and meet them at the end. So there's a bit of a loop, that part of a 30-mile loop that they have to do to basically hit the end of the PCT and then go back to the most major pass to be able to get out. So it'll be interesting how we do that, but we'd love to be there to present them with some big fat checks and congratulate them on winning $5,000 for completing this mission that they have set upon. And so we're really excited to see how this pans out. So not only did our top 2 get selected, but our first alternate got their permit, and we had 4 other alternates also secure a permit. So we're pretty confident that someone's going to make it to Canada, knock on wood. So,
But Lydia, we have a plan of attack, right? It's only 30 miles. Lydia can easily throw me on her back and carry me up.
You're
I'll be
just
holding the
asking for
heavy
that
checks,
that
right? That's
picture to be
$10,000 worth of checks. But we have a plan of attack. Don't worry. Lydia's committed. Yes. Always, you
Always.
always have to plan ahead.
Oh man. So we'll keep you updated on that. And that's the update for marketing and PR. If you have any questions, I'm happy. Starts in Campo. Yeah, Campo, California, right on the border of Mexico and California. Yeah, so she's done the Appalachian Trail. So this will be the longest through hike, but not by all that much longer than the Appalachian Trail. I think it's a couple 100 miles longer, which for them, what's when you've got 3,200 miles, what's that last couple hundred, right? Yeah, so she's going to start in April, and she's well prepared and well versed, and she's never done the PCT, so it'll be fun to follow her along and then see how she comes back into Carson City. It is, and hopefully we see her at the finish line. Can you answer any other questions? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Lydia, for that update. Awesome. Appreciate it. We'll move on to 9F, future agenda items. Anybody on the board like anything to be placed on a future meeting? Now's your opportunity. No? Okay. Well, that's great. Thank you. We'll move on to...
I have one.
Oh, yes, go ahead.
Can you hear me all right?
Yep.
Perfect. I don't know if this is relevant to the CTA, but I just kind of wanted to throw it out there because it does affect our business a great deal. Today, and I would say in the last 6, 7, 8 months, our water has been coming out brown throughout the hotel. Our neighbors have even experienced brown water throughout the hotel. And, this affects obviously directly the customer experience and really ultimately is going to end up online with bad reviews. And so I just wanted to put that out there to, it is a small community. If there's, I've talked to the head of the water department today because today it was actually really bad. We had a tub full of brown water. Usually it's, some brown water and then after 30 seconds it's clean. I don't know if any of the other hotels are experiencing what we're experiencing or if it's just in our neck of the woods. But, if we can kind of put the word out there to figure out a solution to this within our network, it would be really great because ultimately it's going to affect, people's experience coming into town if they're, turning on the faucets and taking baths and showers with brown water.
Are they maintaining the lines? I mean, I know that happens a couple times a year when they maintain the lines, but the city would.
I know
definitely answer
that when I was in the hotel, the city would flush, and they would give you advance notice, all the hotels of what they're going to do or the area, but it wasn't consistent. It would just last a few days, and then it's back to normal. So I'm not really sure about for the last
think
6, 8 months.
Yeah, it's been pretty bad. I think, they came out maybe about a month or so ago, maybe even 2 months now, and they did flush out the pipes and it did get clear for a little bit and then it got really bad again. So I had them come out. Thankfully, they were able to come out today. And I haven't actually had contact. After I hop off this call, I'll call the hotel to see if it's actually cleared up because they're working on it about an hour or so ago. And So, I'm going to I'm going to keep an eye on it a little bit more closely now to see if they can actually have a regular schedule to come out, because I don't think a couple times a year is going to benefit us, or is going to help. Has anybody, have you experienced that at the Gold Dust?
Mike, Member Bot was asking if you have experienced that at the Gold Dust West. The water issue. Mike said no, that he has not had that issue. And I have not heard, no other property has come to me or said anything.
I can check
But
this week
we'll-
and see with the other properties
Yeah.
and see if there's any
We'll
other
reach out
issue.
to the other properties just to see if anybody else has had that issue and let you know.
I'd be really curious. Yeah, that would be great. I'd be curious. We did have a out a few weeks ago, and he did say that other parts of Carson, like he was getting quite a few calls for brown water throughout the city. So I don't know if this is a citywide issue or if that we're experiencing in our area, but I would love to get to the bottom of it and kind of find a solution. So
This is Todd. Todd Reese, Deputy DA. For what it's worth, I have seen several flushing notices over the past several weeks. And the flushing notices do warn that the water might turn brown, but then, go clear again. But I would say that you're spot on with contacting the water department and telling them what you're experiencing. And if it's more than just a temporary situation through a flush, the water department should be able to track it down and identify that for you.
Yeah. They usually give us plenty of notice at the property when they're flushing the system. And we,
I'm going to pay more attention to it because it's been on and off for a little bit now, but I appreciate it. I just wanted to put that on everybody's radar. Just if you hear anything or see anything, I'd love to. I just don't want people having a terrible experience at our hotel or any other hotel in the city, right?
I would agree with you 100% on that end of things. So, okay, so Stu will reach out to the other properties. We'll just see. And then maybe you could check with the team here just to see if you are, in fact, I guess, receiving the flush notices that Todd mentioned on your end.
Yes, yeah.
Just to double check, because if not, would that be something that Damon could talk to the water department if he's not getting those notices, Todd? Is that who he would speak to, or?
Sure, I would start with them
Okay.
and find
I mean,
out.
it still kind of freaks out the guest, even though we
Sure.
put notices in the rooms when you see brown water, makes them think, that the whole city water system is at risk, but
Exactly.
most of them are pretty understanding.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'll look at it. I checked the mail myself, so I haven't seen anything come through, but I'm going to keep more open lines of communication with the head of the water department, make sure that if it's an actual issue that we get it resolved.
Okay.
That sounds great. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Are there any other requests from the board? Okay. If not, we'll move on to 9G. Our upcoming meeting will be right here, March 10th at 4 p.m. And with that, I will turn it back over to the chair.
All right, that moves us to item 10. Any board comments, announcements, or requests? Hearing none, we'll move on to item 11, public comment. I don't think we have any public comment today. So I'll move item 12, move to adjourn. Second?
Second.
Adjourned.